Lisa Heumann, and I'm here with Jessica Mitchell to answer some questions about the new overtime and tip deductions. So let's jump right in. Jessica, do employers need to provide their employees with any documentation for them to file their 2025 individual income tax returns?
Technically, yes. However, reporting for 2025 falls within a transition period for the change. And so the IRS is waiving penalties to employers who fail to provide a separate statement to communicate qualified overtime compensation. Instead, employers can rely on the employee's pay stub or earnings statement, provided it includes a breakout of regular versus overtime wages for the entire year.
Great. So can employees deduct all of their tip income and all of their overtime income on their tax return for 2025?
Unfortunately, there are limits to the amounts that can be deducted for both overtime and tips. For tips, employees can claim up to $25,000 as a deduction on their 2025 tax return, subject to certain income limitations. For overtime, a common misconception is that all overtime pay qualifies as a deduction. Although employees can deduct up to $12,500, again, subject to income limitations, employees should be aware that the overtime deduction only applies to the premium portion of their overtime pay. For example, if the employee's hourly rate is $10, their overtime rate at time and a half would be $15. The premium portion is only the additional $5 per hour they receive. That is the portion that can be deducted on the 2025 tax return.
Interesting, and I think that will surprise a lot of taxpayers when they go to file their 25 tax returns. So, if I were the employee, how can I calculate the deductible amount of overtime using my last pay stub of the year?
So, the easiest way would just be to take the year-to-date amount on your pay stub, and you would take the line item that shows overtime, and you would divide that by 3. That's if you are paid overtime at a time and a half rate. Remember that the overtime deduction is limited to that half-time premium rate. So if you're paid at a double time rate, you would divide your total overtime by 4. This will be the deductible amount that you can report on your 2025 tax return, up to the $12,500 and subject to income limitations.
So is there anything that taxpayers should be on the lookout for in 2026?
Yes, the IRS is going to be adding Schedule 1A to be completed with the employee's 2025 tax returns, which will be used for reporting the overtime and tips deductions. The IRS will also be releasing a new W-4 form for employees to complete, which will include additional steps for the tip and overtime deductions. We also anticipate new W-2 forms in the future, which will include a section for reporting qualified overtime pay.
Well, thank you, Jessica, for all of the information. You've been a wealth of knowledge.
I was glad to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of the BOBCAST. Until next time, so long.